Am I the a-hole for shaming my mother for having 3 kids with 3 different members of the same family and marrying another member of that family? Unfortunately, this is my family. My dad dated my mother for 10 years or thereabouts. They had me when they were 25, and they broke up when I was 6 because my mom was having an affair with my grandfather, Dad's father. My dad left my mom and he refused to have anything to do with his father again. He continued to share custody of me though, and he ended up with primary custody when I was 12. My mother had a child with my grandfather, Ella, who was born when I was 7. Then my mother had a thing with my uncle, Dad's brother, and had a kid with him. Troy was born when I was 10. My grandfather and uncle are both deadbeats to Ella and Troy. For years, my mother tried to make my dad have a relationship with both Troy and Ella, but he refused, and he told her she could go to hell. My dad hates my mother and is repulsed by her actions. They fought over it a few times when my mother said it was unfair to make me miss out on a happy family. When Troy was just a baby, my mother started dating my aunt, Dad's sister, and then they got married. My aunt used to join my mother in trying to make my dad play some sort of role in the lives of my mother's other kids. My aunt used to give me hell for getting into adult business too. I found it so weird that my mother dated and had kids with people in mine and my dad's family and then married my aunt. My aunt said it was none of my business, and she called me a brat and my father's son for making a big deal out of it. Then she used to get annoyed that I still called her my aunt. It was a combination of all of this and the fact that I didn't want to live with my mother that led my dad to get primary custody of me. I still had to spend 1 weekend a month at my mother's house, but it was better than 50% of the time. My mother and my aunt never expressed any issue with my grandfather or uncle being involved in the lives of the kids they made. But my dad was the one in the wrong for not having a relationship. When I turned 17, I'm 19 now, I told my mother I was done going to her house and I was done having a relationship. She tried to force me back but failed, and she tried really hard to have contact with me in some way, but I blocked her and my aunt. A few weeks ago, she showed up at the mall where I work, and she followed me around after my shift ended and demanded we talk. She told me I couldn't keep avoiding her, and that Ella and Troy missed me and wanted to see me. She started screaming at me about what a good mother she was, and how I had no reason to go no contact like I did. She told me I had some weird obsession with taking my dad's side, and it should stop. I told her she didn't give a single damn about me when she cheated on my dad with my grandfather and made a baby, or when she made another baby with my uncle. I asked her if she realized how freaking weird it was that she had 3 kids with 3 different members of the same family. I asked her if she cared what that would do to the kid she had before all of this. Then I mentioned how it got even weirder when she married my aunt. I told her it messed up all the relationships, and I was expected to not have any thoughts or feelings on it beyond yay. And I said that wasn't the reality. Then I told her I was embarrassed to be her son, and that I wanted nothing more to do with any of them except for my dad. I told her my dad was my family, and she needed to leave the 2 of us alone. She and my aunt confronted my dad after work a few days later, and they accused him of poisoning me and raising me wrong because how dare I shame my mother like that? They told him he was the reason the family didn't work. It pissed me off, but my dad took care of it, so I didn't get involved further. My mother showed up another day I was working and told me I needed to get off my high horse and stay out of her bedroom. Then she told me I have another sibling on the way, my aunt's pregnant, and that I need to get over myself and come be a good brother and apologize for treating her like a shit stain on my underwear. Am I the a-hole? Because technically I did say all that I did to shame her and to let her know I was ashamed of her, and maybe that's not the way to go. I did end up getting security involved the second time, so I didn't say more. Now for the top comments. I generally think what happens between consenting adults is no one else's business. But in your case, your mother's choice of bed partners directly impacted you. She had an affair with her partner's father, his brother, and then married his sister. That is going to create some serious issues for the children, and it is right and reasonable that you call her on that behavior. Not the a-hole. It already has. I'm not sure if my half-siblings know all the details, but I don't think they do. One day they'll find it out though, and it's going to be weird. And it was very weird to grow up knowing about it all. Tell her she needs to stay in her own bedroom and not the bedrooms of your granddad, uncle, and aunt. Tell her she created this toxicity and you were forced to be a part of it for your childhood, but you don't want to be a part of it anymore. Until she takes accountability for her actions and stops blaming others, she will not have a future in your life and you will be damned if you are being their free babysitter to their newborn. Tell her if she comes to your place of work to harass you again, you will start reporting it to the police for a restraining order. Even if she admitted she messed up, I don't want to be a part of the family she's made/making still. It's too weird for me, and she blames Dad for so much of it, which makes it worse. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pick up my nephew from daycare anymore? I, 25 female, have a sister, 26 female, who is a single mom. The dad isn't in the picture for valid reasons. Before I moved back home, my parents, then my uncle, would pick up my nephew, 4 male, every day from school and help watch him on some weekends. When I moved back home, it sort of became my responsibility to pick up my nephew around 5, causing me to have to rush through work and revolve any plans around it. I remember offering to help once, and then it sort of got put on me for the past 6 months. She gets off work at 6, the time the daycare closes. Since she started blowing up on social media, she hasn't been picking him up right after work, so she can make content, causing my parents and me to have to watch him until 8 or 9 p.m. Sometimes she drops him off on the weekends because of a meeting or something else she has to do, and I don't find out until I wake up in the morning and hear him in the living room. My day ends up having to be spent taking care of him with my mom, and when his school closes on a workday for a holiday or a sickness breakout, I have to watch him while I work. I'm a graphic designer, full-time 9 to 5 for an agency, moved back home for the job and to save. And recently, I've been getting more commission work on the side and having more meetings that interfere with picking him up after work. I work remote, so it's easier for my parents to ask or expect me to pick him up. I also have a boyfriend who honestly gets pretty frustrated when our plans shift because my parents can't pick up my nephew last minute, even though I told them I couldn't do it that day. He says that I'm not his mom, and my sister has to step in more. Recently, I've been setting boundaries, and when I tell my sister or ask her if she can leave work early some days, she gets frustrated and asks why, and for details as to why I can't. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My parents had my retired uncle do it prior to my moving in. When I moved in, he stopped. Understandable. And when I ask my parents why, they say he probably just got tired of it. My sister also gets annoyed if his homework isn't done by the time she gets home. My boyfriend already set boundaries about my nephew when we move in together, even though he loves him. He said we will not be bringing him over every day after school, and he doesn't want me picking him up just to wait for my parents to get home all the time. My mom wants us to live close to be closer to them, but she also still wants me to pick him up some days. Not the a-hole. Stop giving her details when she asks. Say you can't. Full stop. Don't jade. Justify your answer. Argue about your answer. Defend your answer. Or explain your answer. Tell her you'll no longer be picking up the nephew and get out of that house as soon as possible. Even your parents are dumping the responsibility on you. Looks like this is more between OP and their parents. We do this over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Nobody owes anybody child care services. If, however, this is a condition of moving back in with your parents, that is a completely different story. Thank you. Yes, I moved back in for a job in the area. Even though it's remote, they only support in certain states, and to save for a home with my boyfriend. They also work full-time, as do I, and I help out a lot around the house, and it's been a great co-living situation. Everything is fine, but this specific thing. So, this is a condition of moving back in with your parents? Technically, lol, I'm very easygoing and grounded as a person, so they know I'd do it. But it's been months and they stopped helping less and less, and as I'm growing my circle and footing in the city I live, it's been harder for me to balance it all. It wasn't a condition of me moving in. I didn't even know about how it went before I moved in. It was sort of dropped on me. My sister said she feels guilty about it. I honestly don't know how to go about it, but it is kind of a hot topic in my relationship. My boyfriend said when we move in together, I need to stop. Not in a mean way, only do it occasionally, and I hate canceling a meeting or rescheduling for it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my newly married son and daughter-in-law to alternate Christmas Day visits between our house and the in-laws' house? My son got married this past fall, and my wife and I are thrilled for him and his wife, daughter-in-law. They are wonderful, and we are genuinely supportive of them creating their own life and traditions. I am also very much in the camp of believing that once you get married, your wife becomes your primary family, and the parents are immediately relegated to second tier. They informed us that their new tradition will be to spend Christmas Eve with us, and then spend Christmas Day morning together, before going to the daughter-in-law's parents' house for the rest of Christmas Day, lunch/dinner, etc. My wife and I were honestly somewhat hurt by this. While we appreciate getting Christmas Eve, the implication is that for every Christmas going forward, we will never host them on Christmas Day, while her parents will always have them on the day itself. We feel this arrangement is inherently unfair and diminishes our role in their new holiday traditions. And we aren't even talking about grandkids yet, but if or when they come, this is going to become exponentially worse. We know it's not practical for them to visit two houses on Christmas Day, but we want to gently push back and propose an alternating schedule. Proposal: Year 1, Christmas Eve with us, and Christmas Day with daughter-in-law's family. Year 2, Christmas Eve with daughter-in-law's family, and Christmas Day with us. My question is it reasonable for us to push back on their initial plan and suggest this alternating schedule? If so, how can we best communicate this to them without sounding demanding or unsupportive? We want to maintain a good relationship, but we also feel it's important to establish a fair balance now before the tradition is set in stone. Thank you for any neutral perspectives or advice, especially from those who have been the parent or the adult child in this situation. Edit to clarify: my son is one of 4 adult siblings. My daughter-in-law is one of 3 adult siblings. Since I forgot this is the internet, let me clarify. I am of the belief that when someone enters into marriage, they are starting a new chapter of their life and are laying the groundwork for a new family. It is completely reasonable that their relationships with their parents, siblings, grandparents, etc. will evolve, and their new life will slowly take precedence over that from which they came. I in no way want to make my son feel like I am saying he has to continue doing/feeling/living the same way he always has, and I want to make sure it comes across clearly that I fully embrace and celebrate that he has a new family, while at the same time reminding him that he does have parents and siblings, etc., who still would like to celebrate with him. I am hoping for insightful real-world feedback that is more than "bruh has new life now, pops." That is what I was trying to get at. My biggest issue with this is that you've said push back a few times. You can push back if someone asks your opinion or asks you to do something, but you can't really push back in this situation. You can let them know how you feel, but if you handle it the wrong way, you may lose Christmas Eve as well. Of all the contrary comments, this one hits true. You are absolutely correct. I don't want to push back. That is exactly what I don't want to do, and I appreciate you pointing that out. I want to have a conversation. Thanks. Info: do you celebrate with your other children on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, or both? Does she have married siblings that maybe can only come on Christmas Day? Rather than asking them to alternate, I would start with asking why they chose to do it this way. If there is a logistical scheduling reason they made this decision, I would drop it. If not, you can gently ask but don't push. This is the part that really matters. My entire childhood, we spent Christmas Eve with my mom's family and Christmas Day with my dad's side. This worked well because it coordinated with both extended families. The actual day didn't matter, who was there did. Christmas Eve never felt any less special than the day itself. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to agree to my mom's holiday request? I spent my childhood going to multiple places on holidays, like 2 hours here, 2 hours there, basically driving around appeasing different sets of grandparents. As I entered young adulthood, I realized how not enjoyable that was. When I had my own children in early 2018, my husband and I decided to create our own traditions that still included our parents. All of our immediate family are local. What we developed was an alternating system for holidays that we have found seems to work for everyone, or so we thought. Thanksgiving, we alternate. 1 year we spend it with my husband's family and my dad, who happens to be friends with my husband's family, so it works out. The next year, we spend it with my mom and stepdad, or my mom's side of the family, and so on. Christmas, mornings, getting up, breakfast, opening presents, all that Christmas morning hoopla. are spent with my mom and stepdad. Growing up, Christmas morning seemed to be the big thing in my mom's family, and the event that seemed most important to my mom. Thus, we designated Christmas morning as the time spent with her and my stepdad. My husband's dad enjoys cooking, so yet another reason why Christmas mornings with my mom and Christmas dinner with my dad and my husband's family just seemed to make sense. We made these arrangement decisions with my mom in mind. My husband and I are 100% agnostic and even go to church every other Christmas Eve with my mom and stepdad just because we know it means so much to her. This has never been an issue in the past 8 years. Yet all of a sudden, for my mother it is. Not only did my mom try to get me to come over to her side's house this year, dismissing the fact that this Thanksgiving was my husband's family's turn, and we spent last Thanksgiving with her, but she wants to change things and have us do Christmas dinner with her this year instead. At first, I was willing to entertain the idea of switching things up until it occurred to me that my mom is not the only person involved here. My dad, my husband's parents, and my husband's sister have all come to count on and plan for our tradition of having dinner together. My mom is emotionally immature, and sticking to my boundaries is something I struggle with in my adult life. It puts a lot of extra stress on me to try to make it to multiple places on the actual holiday with 2 young children, not to mention it takes all the fun out of it. My mom doesn't see it that way. All she sees is that we are failing to cater to her and what she wants by not going multiple places and not making time to see her. I can't help but feel these new complaints and new demands are more of a control thing for my mom than anything else. I told her no, we are not willing to make a change this year and have dinner with them or do morning with my husband's family. Having them all together is not an option. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down and saying no to my mom? Not the a-hole. Sounds as if your mom was always trying to please everyone, shuttling around every holiday, and now expects you to revolve around her. In my opinion, alternating holidays is a much better and less stressful way to do it. If your mom is getting upset or trying to emotionally blackmail you, stand your ground. You can't control her feelings, but you can focus on making holidays an enjoyable time for your family. This is how I see it too. When she insinuates that we should do what she did, just because she did it, what I really want to do is ask her how enjoyable that was for her. And why would she want the same lack of enjoyment for her own child, knowing how it was for her? But I know she won't rationalize in that manner. Thanks very much. I appreciate your feedback. Girl, continue doing what you have been doing. Your mom is an emotional vampire. Set firm, uncrossable boundaries with her. Boundaries are healthy and protect you and provide stability. I wish I could upvote this comment 1,000 times because my husband, who is very reasonable and pragmatic, refers to her as an emotional vampire as well. You hit the nail on the head.